First half, the second quarter especially, really pleasing with the contested possessions. The boys improved.
Oh no, look, we would have expected to have probably 2 or 3 more goals on the board, which is unfortunate. But look, we probably kept them to their worst first quarter score, probably in the last month at least. So that's been a plus. And of course, we just haven't rewarded ourselves for the hard work. I think we're only about 6 or 7 disposals behind, and we started to manage to get back in the game in regard to not getting it inside our 50 in the first sort of 7 maybe minutes of the game. So we've had some chances, and we've probably kicked the ball out of bounds a little bit too much, and I think we've given away a couple of foolish free kicks. So that's hurt us a little bit.
Pleasing though, you look around the room now and they just want to learn, this group. They just willingness to learn. They're an impressive bunch.
Well, I think the most important thing you can give players of this age at half-time, three-quarter time, is the confidence to believe that the next quarter can be an exciting quarter for you. I mean, we'll know whether we've improved this quarter coming up from the first match we played this year, and I'm hoping that we can put 3 tough, tight 3 quarters together and in succession. This time last week against Melbourne, we let ourselves down, and that was really disappointing. The last quarter we came home and broke even against Melbourne. So they're sort of quarter by quarter and half by half determinations in our side, and our expectations are that we'd like to play well against the top 4 side, and we're second last and they're second top. So probably should have been 8 goals and maybe 4 or 5.
It's always great to talk to you. The passion certainly is still there, Kev.
Oh, no doubt about that. It's a great game.
The words of Kevin Sheedy from just a few moments ago. But play underway early in the third term, and you heard his commentary on just what he was disappointed in. A couple of goals, and there's another out in the full that he also commented on. They've just given away a few too many easy balls to the Swans. Those late goals just before half-time, quite telling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always going to hurt the GWS late in quarters when they're starting to get a little fatigued, and that's where we go into the second half. Same sort of thing will apply, is they've got to manage that fatigue level to stay in the game and not make the simple skill errors that give the Sydney Swans a chance to kick goals the other way.
Kennedy trying to concoct something. I don't think his teammates are on the same level as him there. That's getting close to the line of being 50 as well. Sure, rather nonplussed about the whole thing. Power kicks it in deep. They engage. Giles is there. Tapped away to O'Keefe. He looked around. He had no outlets at all. Tomlinson bundles it for Ward. Great skills. Great stuff. Inspiring stuff from Ward and GWS.
Well, that's just the start Kevin Sheedy wanted, Lynchy, and I've got to say that I ran into a couple of old mates of mine who did suggest that they would expect John Longmire wouldn't have been all that pleased at half-time, but we haven't seen any impact of what we may believe has been quite terse words.
Absolutely. The murmurings up through the corridors were that he might have given him a spray at half-time, and he'll be building into a reasonable head of steam at the moment with that start.
So Ward, we talked about what tremendous leadership he's shown so far this year, right from the coalface. He does it again, and the lead now for Sydney is standing at 31. Pike came late to the contest, got the tap down, and he was caught in the crush there, Ward.
Well, that's the sort of stuff John Longmire would have been expecting. That was a vicious tackle. Legal, but it was extreme.
Kennedy, he's a big body for a midfielder. He tackles very well.
Dylan Shield now on to Ben McGlynn. I reckon Shield, along with Kieran Jack, would have to be vying for the honours of the Brett Kirk medal, which is in its infancy, but a prestigious medal.
Don't leave Toby Green out of that.
Jetta, he was able to get on it quickly and out to Bolton. This is within his range. You would think it would test him in terms of distance.
Yeah, he was pretty keen to give one off in the second term, probably a metre or 2 further out.
Okay, well, he doesn't think he can kick it, so he sets it up. They come from all angles.
Well, he kicked it exactly where Sam Reid had pointed to, but unfortunately for Reid, he got closed down on. He wasn't able to get the full ladder.
Hampton.
That's a floater.
Yeah, he didn't look comfortable at all.
That spun once before it hit Marty Matner.
He'll just rev it up and set it up again. Big Mumford's down there, looked the most likely. Kennedy knew just where it would fall. Hampton going in there, maybe slung it and maybe played it up. McVeigh sensed an opening, but just couldn't get the ball to do what he was asking it to. Out on the full.
No, and I think GWS has got to take a lot of credit here. They are getting big numbers back, so it's really hard for the Swans to hit up targets inside 50. So on those 2 occasions, they bombed the ball to 15 metres out, which is a dangerous position, but there's a lot of spoilers there for the Giants. So it's really well worked at the moment.
Yeah, but look at the numbers, though. There's 3-1 on the ground. They are just working, for mine, just a little bit harder than the Swans, who are relying on the rebound footy.
Well, big footy to be won here. McDonald, a little glance over the shoulder. And he saw nothing that was in orange, so he kicked it wide, too wide.
Yeah, the old legs just were a little bit panicked there when Reece Shaw came around to put pressure on him, so he just rushed the kick.
Grundy, an accomplished backman has become, starting his career as a forward with 2 or 3 goals on debut, but in the end he's found his domain back in defence. Scully showed the good skills again. Green. Away through Treloar, bombing to half forward. Patton came late, made a contest and followed up his good work.
I reckon the Swans would be considering getting one of their talls off and getting Bird on, so they could go a little bit smaller in that forward line, because there's enough tall timber down there, but there's not too many people at the feet.
Absolutely, and I think the transitional running from offence to defence has been really well covered from the GWS, so they're running well. So extra leg speed and some extra energy around the ball might be the key, Jared.
There's no lack of energy in the tackling efforts here from GWS. Well, and McGlynn were quite crafty then, but again it amounted to nothing.
Yeah, to reinforce your point there, Hutto, 47-38 in favour of GWS as far as tackles are concerned.
Smith, Treloar, McVeigh though intervenes. Goods has a bit of time, and he creates some good space to run into for Smith. Steady, and then Reid was not looking at all. He was worried about what Mumford was doing, and he didn't really synchronise efforts. That could be close to deliberately out of bounds, that one.
No, you're right, though. Reid is, if he's in front, he's just got to go for the footy. And if Mumford gets in the way, well, bad luck. You can't go second-guessing yourself.
Spot on. As the key forward up there, everything that's in the air, it's yours. Just go for it, and if anyone gets climbed on top of from your team, that's probably his role.
Once again, they'll have Reid. He'll try and run to the hot spot, top of the square. Jeez, there's some big boys down there.
I reckon this will be straight through, Jared.
Well, he's got the photographer to take the perfect snap. He's right behind him. He's kicked it not quite there, and Corns flipped it through from behind. So 32 points is the margin here.
And here's the Sydney Swans. When they're playing at their best, Smith just charging off that half-back line. It's a brilliant kick to him from Adam Goods. And that was the indecision you saw between Reid and Mumford. Good camera shot.
Here's Hampton on the way out again. This indecision on his face. Not sure at all where to go. Heads for the boundary. Loops it up high. Giles, Patton, and a whole bunch of Swans. Grundy is a little slow with his thinking there. Edwards hammers it back to the wing. Brogan versus a couple of Swans. At the backup, Tomlinson, Treloar, and now it's a go fetch. And back there first should be Johnson. Wilson will be right there with him shadowing. And he knew that there was someone on his hammer.
That pressure mightn't have been a physical pressure, but the perceived pressure from the good chase. So some really good pressure from Wilson, who was running very quickly down there.
He was lucky he had that trailing boot, because it did slip underneath the hand.
McVeigh, a delicate operation for O'Keefe. Successfully navigated. Margin still 31 here.
Great work rate from Ryan O'Keefe again tonight.
Again, bereft of any clean options, so straight down the line. Sam Reid. Some pretty good body work too. Help from Mumford. Kennedy, but it got hit through to Giles. Everett adapted. Bolton, Reid. Oh, shove in the back from Palmer on Hanbury, and he almost got one in turn, didn't he? And could have got a free kick himself. Hanbury, they work at Reid to the feet of Mumford. That was no good. And the high contact goes to GWS.
Just got to wonder why players opt for that 1 metre handball when there's 2 or 3 players on the outside. Gets them out of the ruck and gets them to a player running forward.
Smith drives to half forward. There's some early interference there, and it's a Giants ball. Advantage. Oh, Hampton. Was there real advantage? Through the legs of Armstrong. Still might produce a score here. Cameron at his moment. It's past now. Smith Hammered it on the boot. Bolton just one step ahead, the Swans. That was all, almost half the step ahead. That's all they needed to be.
Here's McGlynn. Finally found some space.
He's got Roberts, Thompson. Nothing next, though, for him. He spotted Reid out of the corner of his eye. Hanbury had to go. He knew it, and he did. And it will create a scoring option. Reid, McGlynn, little glance over the shoulder. Didn't sit for him, power. Hanbury, sheer force of will, they'll kick a goal. They kept on coming. It was inevitable.
Well, that's a Daniel Hanbury goal there. I think it was bordering on a terrible kick from LRT. A dirty old floater to centre half forward, but Hanbury came back with a fly of the ball and could have been cleaned up. And took the ball, maintained his feet, so stayed in the contest and comes through again to be a part of this play as well. Here, Hanbury, it's good second effort, out to McGlynn and around the body goal. Great work from Daniel Hanbury, and I reckon there might be a little message from the coach. That's what I was talking about at half-time.
Well, McGlynn finally got by himself across that half-back line. It was good spotting to get the ball in his hands. And in the finish, he did the hard work and got on the end of it.
He'll be winning the clearances in this quarter, the Swans. Maybe the message from the coach has got through. Jack just got a little throw.
Yeah. The concern, Hutto, is still contested possessions are favouring GWS in this quarter, 14-9.
McDonald gets out from the Scully kick. Giles is pushed forward. Again, that's going to wobble. And that's pretty easy fodder for the Swans. It's a record number of out on the falls from GWS tonight.
Well, Shoots came in with that plan to bring the boundary.
He should have told his players that he changed
to bring the boundary line in. In fact, we'll check with the ground manager, Scott Taylor, who's down on the ground, whether or not it has been brought in a little bit.
I'm sure it's the same, but it just feels that way for some reason. McVeigh hemmed in and needed some help. Armstrong just the man to provide it. Nick Smith's further ahead. They've got a drift on the wing here. Pike leads for the ball, so does Reid. He prefers the option of Reid, but imprecise disposal.
It wasn't a great kick, and we saw Sam Reid just went to stop and prop, but slipped. And a bit of a heavy dew out there at the moment, so the players are just starting to slip a little bit.
Patton heaves it up to the 50. Grundy's and Mattner there to stand the ground. At the back, O'Keefe. Their systems are starting to fall into place a little better, aren't they, the Swans, you think? Mumford gave it off quickly to Armstrong, and now onto the wing to Roberts Thompson.
Sloppy.
Yeah, that's been the case tonight, as we've discussed, partially at least due to the pressure from the Giants. Now they're off and darting through Shield. The extra Swan back there helping out Grundy. But they swarm in, the Giants.
Well, they could do well if they could get this to be a stoppage situation, because they're outnumbered badly and they're going to achieve it.
Yeah, spot on, Jared. Good result for the Giants just to set this stoppage up. Around the ground ball-ups, they don't tend to score that many goals from these sort of situations. They're certainly better at the centre bounce situation, but it gives them an opportunity.
Just looking at the discipline of Kennedy, he's on green, but because it's in his defensive half, he is very much in a defensive mindset. Despite the fact that he's regarded as one of the best 2 or 3 inside midfielders in the game, and he's up against the kid in his first year. It's just discipline all the way through.
16 disposals, Kennedy, 22 for Green. Brogan could go anywhere here. McDonald, McVeigh, collect smartly. Armstrong had to go and get it a second time. Hanbury, interesting disposal. Scully, Smith, pressure on from all sides. She was almost into the realms of a deliberate behind, but not quite. There was just enough pressure there. Quick kick in is okay, and Jetta can make it look more than okay. He uses his natural attributes. He is away. Everyone's hoping he might just go all the way. Keep on coming. Don't stop like Luke Nolan. He's put towards goal, and it's drifted, and it's a behind with apologies. Like, I was just...
Absolutely, that would have been one of the very quick coast-to-coast goals as well. And McGlynn was in position to run into the space, but he wasn't quick enough. Jetta was actually closing quickly.
I hope he's not watching. Throw in, he's trying to put it behind him. McGlynn, it's over the line and out of bounds.
I was actually having a look at the style of the kick from Jetta. He definitely propped his hands just... In fact, it was one of his worst kicks for the year.
An exciting player.
One of the best out-of-bounds runs for the season, though, to go with Nick Nadu, his best point of the last week. the week before. Up to the wing. Here's Pat, the general. It's the handball straight back to Cameron.
Did well to get the ball free. And they're just doing this a little bit better with their hands, the GWS.
Yeah. Wilson. And here's that boundary again.
Exciting piece of play. Here's the mongrel kick. Oh, he just let the ball topple forward. He almost had a fresh air.
Giles. Johnson. And it's over and out.
Green up to 23 disposals, been a really good player for the Giants today, followed by young Treloar off the back of his good game last week, and Corns next in line with 17.
Brogan brings it down. McVeigh, he is leading the way for the Swans.
The runner is out to Reece Palmer. They've got a mismatch. He at the moment is on LRT.
Reid was the first man back to his feet, and he guides it all the way.
And if you want to see great athleticism, we don't associate Sam Reid with great pace, but he's up against a couple of kids a little bit younger, not much younger than him, and they've all got great athleticism as well. But just take a look at how quickly Reid just bursts away here. Goes sideways. That is great work and a magnificent conversion.
Yeah, ran away from Phil Davis.
Under the ball a bit too, didn't he?
Well, he did, and once Davis was off balance a little, so that was enough to give Reid that 2 or 3 metres space.
20 years of age, more than just a terrific young mark, Sam Reid.
Oh, he's the type of player, obviously the Swans think the same, that they're going to build a forward line and a team around for the next 10 years, they hope, after re-signed him for 5 years earlier in the season.
Mike slapped it down. O'Keefe eventually got the run of it. Not a great handball, but it's okay. Job done. Pike, Hanbury, and now Bolton and McVeigh, who's creating all sorts of havoc. His 25th disposal takes them deep. McLean getting plenty of pressure, legal according to the umpire. Green. Well, he headed to the boundary line. He ran out of options. Hanbury, not enough distance. You heard the call. Jack sums it up for the pocket. Straight through again.
Oh, a couple of very quick goals in quick succession and a couple of rippers. And Kieran Jack here from the boundary line, just from about 35 metres out, just inside the boundary line. We know they're not deep, these pockets, but anyway, that is a fantastic goal. Straight over the umpire's hat, and they're just starting to string a few goals together now, getting out to a dangerous distance as far as points are concerned. 48 points, the Swans lead the Giants. So, great result. Some of their stars starting to stand up.
That's three consecutive goals, I should say. There's the side here at ANZ Stadium, the Swans home crowd. It's dominated by Swans fans here tonight too. They've been enjoying what they're seeing early in the third. We did mention their systems were starting to look better, and now they're getting some reward for that.
Well, they've got the ball in some hands that are outside of the crush.
Well, they've kicked 8 of the last 10 goals in the game, the Swans, so
I think they've just got to try and keep some width in this game. I mean, clearly the GWS have dominated the tactics up until about the last 5 minutes, keeping it in tight. The Swans can find some space, they can blow them apart.
And there's some space, and Roberts Thompson.
We don't see that too often. The Swans did really well, the Swans forwards, to leave open that corridor straight up from the goals, 20 to 45 metres out. And they cleared, and the Giants defenders went with them and just allowed LRT to run in and take an easy mark.
So here he is, 1 goal, 1 to his name. We can see what's ahead. And that is like a bullet, straight through. That's 4 in a row for the Swans.
Nice piece of work here by Sydney Swans once again. Just coming through the middle. That's just classic Sydney Swans. Reece Shaw has very much made his mark on this footy club. He set it up, and then the corridor was just left open. They're all thinking it's Sam Reid or it's Big Mummy. Maybe it's Mike Pike, but through the middle comes Lewis Roberts Thompson, who really is playing an effective role now as a forward for the Swans.
As we see uncontested possessions, boys, 48 to the Sydney Swans and 24 to the Gold Coast. They're dominating on the outside in this term, the Swans.
Okay, so the Swans getting out of the space. As we talked about, they've been able to, were aiming to do and had been doing against other teams. Brogan.
Gee, that's a good mark. Really good mark from Giles.
Did he grab it on hamstring? No.
I did say Gold Coast too, gents. It's actually GWS here tonight.
That's them.
So Giles, as we've discussed already several times tonight and all through the season, been a really handy pickup, and the ability in the modern game to be a ruckman that you can also go forward and kick one goal a game even, Jared. Absolutely vital.
Yeah, it's mandatory now. I know if you can't do that, you're going to be put your club under pressure.
And he's done it in just about every game, and you can tick off tonight as well.
Well, you're spot on. If you're only a ruckman, there's one spot available for you. If you're a ruckman that can mark the ball in the forward 50 and convert your opportunities, there's 2 or 3 spots available. So really important that Giles continues to develop and takes those sort of marks, as with the Sydney Swans, Mike Pike, who's starting to develop into at least a reasonable forward 50 target.
Yep.
So good contested mark against one of the real key spoiling defenders in the competition, in Ted Richards.
Not enough for a big ruckman. After he puts the ball through the middle. Margin 48 now.
Well, that's 2 out of 2. They've had Kieran Jack at the back. They've got the ball to him, and he's been run down from behind by the GWS. In fact, I think it was Wilson again. He's got that great pace. He comes in off the line.
Corns. Close to the line of being holding the ball. Incorrect disposal. Good tackling all round.
Yeah, looking at the numbers for the contested possessions, there's the top 5. Toby Green, as we know, McVeigh, Kennedy is against Toby Green, Palmer and O'Keefe. Usual suspects.
Volleyed forward by Pike. Had a second crack at it. Ward, Palmer was straining every sinew to try and get the handball clear of Reed. Couldn't achieve that goal. Boundary line, Green improvised pretty well. Close to the line again. Canterbury gained some yardage.
There's a bit of a blue. There's a bit of a blue over the sidelines. I think Kieran Jack.
That's a dangerous kick from Shield. The footy remains in GWS hands though. Power takes it to Palmer. He's told to kick it to Scully. Nick Smith left his man, so it shouldn't mean there's an extra body ahead for the GWS, but their bases are covered now. So Scully forced to revert back to Moore and now to Hampton.
Well, this is the one where they fall down because a lot of the Giants players are nervous to lose their opponents because so often it gets turned over in this position. So that doesn't create options, it makes it really hard to hit a target.
Pike, McGlynn running away towards the boundary line, but angling his kick back in. Moore and Reed. Reed brought it down. Everett thumped it even though there was no Swan within Cooey. And it suits Luke Power just fine. Marches out of defence. Handballs and runs to receive again if he needs to. Treloar thumps it up along the wing. Big contest between Wilson and Mattner, the experience. Mattner wins out. Goods thought about taking it out, decided to keep it alive because that suits the Swans. And Jenner takes the O'Keefe pass. Deep as Mumford. Reed's there as well. Kennedy powering. They're all in the frame. Mumford not on the right side and thumped away diligently by Moore. Armstrong. All about the bounce, and it's a behold.
Well, such a fantastic attacking punch there from Mumford. They were practicing that actually just before we came on air, hitting it to blokes running at the fall of the ball, and Armstrong was there, but he just couldn't find enough time and headspace to clear or get a clear shot away.
So Ward, a couple of backups. And Edwards able to take the grab. He's on that last line now. They close on in.
Little movement in front.
Just goes as far as he can, hoping that Corns will leap and take the mark in game number 249.
One of the great bonuses of having the ruckman go to the goal square, and it's an absolute must, is that it gives the midfielders more of an opportunity to rotate, to share that workload through the middle of the ground.
Johnson. Teddy Richards. Smith. The next dish was to Jack. That was a throw. Well, close to it anyway. Palmer. And they're finally away. Bug. Hampton. Just a little scratchy. He's fighting a one-man war in there at the moment. He's over it, and he gets some relief from the umpire.
Disposal efficiencies or kicking efficiencies are at 65% each. Johnny Longmire looks a little perplexed in the coach's box, but it's the critical errors that the GWS Giants have made coming through the midfield. That one potentially is going inside 50. So many times they haven't been able to hit the target.
Yeah, kick clangers 17-12. So GWS have made 5 more critical kicking errors.
This has been one of the great battles of the night. 2 old blokes, and this time the oldest wins out.
Yes, McDonald up along the line. Cameron, that could have been a free his way for a bit of reaching over. Smith's kick smothered. Jared, no one loves to smother more than you, Matt.
Yeah, it was a pretty handy one.
.49 points in it. Mike Pike, Nick Smith, just thrusting it forward. Toby Green stood his ground. Brogan, they've got to half forward. This time it's Reece Shaw's ball.
Well done from Reece Shaw, just starting to continue to work his way into the game, Jared.
I know it'd go against the grain of everything that the Swans believe in, but up against the side, I think he was trying to lock them down. Maybe the ruckman should try and hit it to space occasionally.
I agree with you totally. I think that's underutilised. Even the ruckman knocking into space or the third man up, clearing the area.
Every time I see Mike Pike get it to the defensive hip, I mean, the whole world knows it's going there. Swans know it's going there.
Grip of steel from Bolton was terrific. Armstrong, Everett's got himself into the clear. The pass didn't fall his way. Jack, despite the lunge of Hampton, had it all under his command. What a player he's become, Kieran Jack.
He's genuinely a very, very good midfielder these days. I mean, he came in as a hard-working, was he a tag at the start with? He's elevated himself now to a gun.
With that rugby background, you thought the best he could ever do would be just a good hard player who could help a bit, but he's gone way beyond that, hasn't he?
He'll be shattered if you call his dad a rugby player as well.
Rugby league player. It's a rugby background in general.
But no, he's a very good player for the Swans now.
Very impressive night from Kieran Jack. I've got a question for you, Lynchy, too, later on in the last quarter, which...
Ooh, don't bring it up, please. Don't bring it up. We've heard about it for hours.
We have, but we'll have to share it with our viewers later on. Thump forward by that man again, Jack, to half forward.
Great roving.
And McVeigh's had a stellar night. And it deserved to go, really, given that.
You don't see a lot of those classical front and centres these days because, in fact, it's probably coming back more into the game now than it has over the last year or so. But you don't see too many of them because half the time the forwards are up the ground.
Absolutely, but that was hit at full tilt. Just couldn't quite drag the ball far enough to the left for that goal.
Here it is. That is just magnificent, front and square or front and just to the side square. Just couldn't finish.
Margin is 56 at the moment.
Kevin Sheedy just about to leave the box to head down to the ground.
Let's see where they try and attack the ball. This time it goes to a bit of space.
Jude Bolton, they've given a bit of a masterclass in this quarter with some of their clearance work, even though GWS have really been fighting hard each and every time. Bug, Power's gone to ground. Great tackle, Jetta. We know about his offensive side, and his defensive running and tackling is also a sight to behold.
It's easy to put pressure on when you got that sort of pace. And really good jump from Everett just to make a good contest and spillage. And McGlynn was down there for the crumbing opportunity.
Kennedy.
Well, that is the worst kick he has produced for the year.
He hasn't made many mistakes for a couple of seasons.
Magnificent combination between ruck and ruck rover.
Getting into the spirit of the out of bounds on the full sort of night.
He just wanted to get involved.
Davis. Mumford. Scully was in his sights there. He felt it. So boundary throw in. To Ruckman. feel for each other, Mumford and Giles.
Scully's going over to Jack at these stoppages.
And the quick dish. Kennedy gives it plenty.
Yeah, a lot of that one. Inside 50's really starting to blow apart now for the Giants. So in favour of the Sydney Swans, 41-26. Just couldn't quite get the handle on that mark.
McLean, just the opening, quickly shut down by Hampton. Giles, Reed, Davis. They all try the off-the-ground business. Doesn't work for anyone. Jack,
He's always out.
He was into his move, wasn't he? He was evading even before he was picking up the footy. It was great to watch. Bolton decides to be the umpire, but I think only Stevie J's allowed to play an umpire at the same time, and it's a ball up.
I think Big Giles was given the benefit of the doubt there. You see a couple of heavy knocks. Big Mummy
He doesn't mind throwing it around,
in the background.
So a minute 45. Back to that boundary line again. Here's Jeddah. O'Keefe. He sold it well. Time to straighten. Settle towards full forward. Everett. McGlynn stays down. It almost got captured in there somewhere. Kennedy. And you think a ball up is the likely outcome. I think Everett has gained a fair bit of confidence from what happened last week. He hasn't had a big possession game, 8 disposals, but
He's playing in a low possession position.
he is. Yeah, he's not far away. Mumford into the path. They fight amongst themselves, the Swans there, to see who could have a shot. And Ward went about his business. Wide, almost another out on the full. McDonald snook it a little. Hanbury. And here's Jeddah again. He loves this position. I'm not sure about the science in that kick, but McVeigh was. He's also grounds to kick to right to full forward, and there's some interference. And it's going to be Everett's right plumb in front.
That's going to help Everett's cause. Jeddah came around to have that forward 50 entry. I think Big Mummy put his hands up. Yep. Didn't expect to get it though.
Jeez, he kicked a nice ball. It just
quite
get there. But Everett did well. He backed back into his defender and dragged a free kick, Edwards.
He popped it through on the margin beyond 10 goals.
A big quarter for the Sydney Swans, as we heard at half-time. There was a few sprays given out at half-time, and John Longmire looks far from satisfied at this stage, but they're certainly playing the game in the defensive half, or the defensive third for the Giants, and they're long, dangerous ball to a situation where there's holding the right arm around the waist, and umpires look for the jumper coming off the body or an arm wrapped around the torso of a player, and they'll give a free kick away in a marking situation.
Reflection of the domination in this quarter. The inside 50 count 16-8, 6 goals 3 as a result to 2 goals 2, and the Swans wouldn't mind another one late. Wrap around the neck on O'Keefe.
Nice work inside from Ryan O'Keefe.
And they've got someone on the outside too. Shaw getting busy now from half forward. Fancies his chances. Full run up, full extension, right to the line, and Big Pike arrived.
Well, he just showed his inexperience there, going with the hands like a chest mark instead of trying to grab it at its highest point.
Comes out for Giles.
They're struggling to get past this position on the field at the moment, the Giants. Just under siege at the moment, as you said, with the inside 50s being dominated by the Swans. Just got to get this possession.
Out.
The Swans will be pretty pleased, Lynchy, with Mumford's ability to run through the games now. They've coached him slowly back from his injury. He's had a few back problems, as we know, and he's just looking like he's running into some really good form.
Yeah, working really hard against up against two big bodies in Giles and obviously Brogan. Yep.
Toby Green gets into the spirit of things and goes for a big torpy.
He's a stats man.
14-10-94 Sydney, GWS 4-7-31. So I mentioned they won the last quarter when they met last time. What would Kevin Sheedy and Mark Williams have been talking about?
They'd be talking about exactly the same thing. The great thing that they're able to do, both those guys are so positive, is to forget what's happened in the past. Let's look forward. They'll be going for small steps each and every week, and this small step right now is just simply to win this quarter.
Now again on a stray bounce to start the term.
It's got the great strength of Kevin Sheedy as a coach. He has always been able to find a positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
The blackest days at the Bombers and the blackest days that he will face at his new club, there'll always be something you can get out of it.
Yeah, they would have started the game with a number of real key indicators that they would focus on for the game. Nothing would have changed. It might have evolved a little throughout the game. Certainly the third quarter was a disappointing quarter for them, but they'd go back, reset their targets and come out for a big last term.
I fend off against Adam Goods. He looks a little confused by it all.
And you can just tell they're ready to run and spread. They'll be talking up the fact that the Swans struggled in the last quarter last week. They'll be thinking that they've spent too many petrol tickets and they're a chance to maybe just execute a few goals.
We saw Adam Kennedy into the game.
Again, we'll need to hit the Giants will need to hit targets, otherwise they get opened up on the way back.
It really opened up for Mumford, trying to deal at Smith. Again, Jack instantly onto the left, and he's been pretty potent.
It was a brilliant handball because he knew he was a left footer. If he hadn't been a left footer, he probably wouldn't have given it. But Jack was running onto his left side, into space. That was probably the easiest shot of the couple that he's had.
Yeah, he's kicked some rippers, 2 goals, 1 for the evening, and that's 28 disposals now. So one of the better players on the ground, no doubt about that.
Bit of a cluster here by the Giants, and they're going down the middle, and they've got all the space wide.
That was against big Mike Pike, just pushed Brogan under the ball, copped him across the shoulder.
Brogan has Palmer to utilise on the way out. Now back to Corns.
And Jonathan Patton, we saw, had been subbed off, which means that there'll be a little bit more room for Cameron.
Young Kennedy into the game. Just like a lot of his teammates, very talented young player.
Just on the back foot here, GWS. No easy way out. Hard running by McDonald and by Smith, both ignored. Bombs it to half back, and Brogan up, takes a nice grab and quickly moves it on. Searching for Giles. Timmy Moore's been pushed forward. Redeployed, give them something to aim at. There's Bird with the cleanest looking jumper out there. Back he goes to Grundy.
Bit of experience as well for Tomlinson, who looks like he's been pushed back onto Mummy.
Palmer.
Swans have got extra numbers behind the ball here, so a long bomb should fall into the Swans' hands.
Hasn't yet. Giles, reasonably nimble for a big man. Scully, Green, marching in, and had his leg taken from under him.
There was an error. That was a couple of weeks in the bin. Just a long stretch. The tackle, yeah, it slipped down. Wasn't a deliberate ankle tap.
The game he grew up with, it's legal.
And a very good skill. Toby Green, he's had a cracking game, leading the disposal count for the Giants, with this being his 28th disposal. It's 15 contested.
3 goals, 6 for the year for Toby Green. And that's a nice strike. And
Great strike.
First blow delivered by GWS in this last quarter.
Brilliant conversion by Toby Green. He's won a lot of admirers.
There's not many pretty sights up the back there, though, I must say.
In fact,
some really odd-looking people, but it's great to see their passion. But he's a really good player, isn't he, Gerald?
yeah, I spoke to Terry Wallace about him, who, after his very first game, was so excited. I heard him on radio, pumping up this young kid, and he hasn't let him down at all. In fact, he'd have to be right up there in their best and fairest camp over halfway through the season.
Not sure about that head. There's a bit happening up above the ears. I think tends to be a few of the Giants boys cut their own hair, or they share the scissors around the rooms.
At least it looks that way.
That was a hard tackle on the ball from McVeigh, the skipper.
Pike get straight back into trouble. Smith, Kennedy, really strong at it, but no sense of panic at all. Armstrong whips the ball through to Kennedy again. He brushes off one and then releases when he had to. Hanbury.
Sloppy hands
It is,
again,
yeah. Just poked it back again. He's dived on it here. Hanbury knew that too. Gets it up to Jack. Just found the angle. Bit of a standoff. Man just on the ground. Kennedy. Well done, Bolton. Bird, he's just on the ground as well.
Clear, Serge.
Kicked the first 2 goals in the round 1 match, Craig Bird. These two sides clash. And the crowd has been posted to 38,000, which is more than was expected here.
That's a really good roll-up.
So Mumford backing back Pike. Oh, they were lining up the Swans tools. They might have got in each other's way to some degree. Hampton makes this, goes for the torpedo. There wasn't much on for him. Cameron.
You sure there wasn't a typographical error on that crowd?
You don't think there's 38 here, Gerard? It is a big stadium.
I would have thought about 25.
Armstrong. And now Jetta could wind up from there if he chooses. And he does choose. And we're all glad of it. He lands another one. That's 3.
He kicks more than he misses these days, and once again, just that little bit of pace to for the first 5 or 10 metres to attack the 50-metre arc, and he knows from that sort of range these days he kicks those 9 times out of 10. A very accomplished, good player, exciting player.
Well, if he continues his form, Lynchy, and he finishes with somewhere between 50 and 60 goals for the season, he's a lock. Lock for the All-Australian side.
What's
Would
he
have to be.
31 now. He's 20 goals away from All-Australian. Well, if he gets those extra 20 or 30 goals,
he's a lock.
They're not going to talk about it. There's going to be no discussion that All-Australian selection is just in.
Well, there hasn't been that many. I know he's not a small forward as such, but there hasn't been that many small forwards kicking lots of goals this year.
Josh Hill, it'd be the one that's probably at the top of the tree. But
even he's slowed down a bit.
He has. In fact, the numbers for small forwards are well down.
But that's the thing. He's not a small forward. He's carrying the ball off the wing.
Yeah.
He just covers a lot more ground than a lot of small forwards.
All Australian selectors can be pretty creative too. Can't they, about positions?
I think they can, can't they?
And necessarily so, given the way the game's played these days.
Armstrong, O'Keefe. There's Matthew Pavlich, full-back. Years ago. Great tackling, good run down from behind by Mumford. It created the play for Bolton. The flow's there. McGlynn sneaking into the 50, takes the mark.
Quick hands to Hanbury. No, he's gone back like all good small forwards do.
Turned his back on the goals.
And then waved to him.
That's right.
Didn't see you there.
Yeah, sorry.
A little bit of non-blindness goes a long way.
But just
to be fair to McGlynn, he was covered, Hanbury.
Yeah, because he took his time to actually see him. He was covered by the time he looked around.
So McGlynn with 1 goal to his name, and you can double that now, although it may not make the distance it does.
Well, this is what we've seen a lot of over the last probably 6 weeks. The ability to pop up in the forward 50, run off half-back is really good. In the first half, we didn't see a lot of it, but they're certainly blowing the game well and truly open now. And the GWS legs are starting to tire. The young legs are starting to really tire in the second half of the season and in the late stages of this game as well.
Yeah, and Sheed's not happy. Mumford, he just does those 1%ers so well. McGlynn just sneaking out the back, not covered by his man. And pound for pound, he is one of the longest kicks I've ever seen for a bloke of his stature.
31 disposals for McVeigh, leading all comers. Jack with 29 for the Swans, and for GWS, who are into attack again, it's Green with 29. Smith, McVeigh getting busy again. O'Keefe, here's Jetta. Kennedy a fresh man, so given the job of trying to rein him in. It doesn't quite reach Jetta on this occasion. It still might. Mumford will give it to him for sure. No, he didn't.
Drag him.
And Everett gets the spin around. But the quick tour of the stadium.
Not sure what Mumford was thinking there, Hutto, not giving it to Jetta. You were just starting to wind up again.
Very unsportsmanlike.
He got up out of the seat as well, ready to go, up on the toes.
To half forward.
In front. Well read from the back. Another solid performance by Grundy.
He's developed into one of the most reliable defenders in the competition with his teammate back there, Teddy Richards.
Is there any weaknesses for Sydney going into the finals?
Well, going into the season, we think it was outside leg speed, but this man's fixed that.
Jetta. Oh, Goods has got the perfect run up.
Big shove.
He's given away the free. Still not quite there, is he, Goods? He's fucked up the timing, which is fair enough after.
Probably a little bit of that, but also that ball coming in was just a metre short to edge his opponent under the ball. Just needed to be a little bit longer.
He needed to take a hanger effectively on the bloke in the front, but it's late in the game.
They give it up again. McVeigh. Goods not in position. Roberts Thompson might be.
He actually missed Mumford there in the middle because a runner wearing orange was standing right beside him. I mean, it's one of the most bizarre decisions by the AFL that I've seen. The decision to put runners in orange and have a strip which is primarily orange.
Surely for this match, these matches where the GWS are playing, they'd make the runners change jumpers, wouldn't they? Colours. O'Keefe, McGlynn realised he couldn't get the leverage required and handballed it. Edwards chipped it. Trelaw.
Hutto, whilst GWS are coming out of the back half here, hopefully they don't turn over. Probably one of the issues is that Sydney have only taken one contested mark in the forward 50 tonight. I mean, the Giants have been able to do it on 5 occasions, but Mike Pike was the only one that took that contested grab for the night. So, I mean, I know their forward setup is a lot about running back with the flight of the ball, which don't produce contested marks, but
given that you've got a Sam Reid there, suggests that there's room for improvement.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks, Brady. Right there.
Bird.
Right there. Come out, team. Thanks.
Short to Canterbury. Who's their most important player now, the Swans? I mean, it used to be this man, Adam Goods, but who is it now? Because you could really mount a case for 5 players, probably.
Well, I think that's why the Swans are where they're at the present time. I mean, I think Goods is still their most important player. If you're talking grand finals, he's going to have to produce an awesome performance. But this bloke in particular...
Well, there you go. There's a contested grab.
Yeah, but I think this guy, you know, he is one of the jets of the competition in his position, and such an important position. This time last year he was vying for all Australian honours, but he's just had such a slow build-up. He's probably lost a little bit of that reputation, but the ability is still there.
So Mumford trots in to extend the lead to 77 points. And through it goes.
And when you consider what he did against Dustin Fletcher, which to me really has been a significant moment for the Swans. I saw them against St Kilda at Etihad Stadium in about round 6 or 7, after they'd had a pretty fair run, and they got absolutely flogged by the Saints. Their forward line didn't function at all. Then this bloke came back in, gave them a target. Sam Reid became the second or third person that they're going to, and they just became a far more potent team, and they've had some big victories on the back of it.
He's going to be a very important player heading towards the finals as he gets more games under his belt, and hopefully the back injury is certainly managed well, that he's out there and playing with essentially full fitness.
Good hands.
Slick stuff, wasn't it? Great to watch. Keith backed it up, went a second time into Goods. Swans in full flight now. Roberts Thompson, Goods getting dangerous. Working it outside. Everett had carried some instructions. That was move it on. Bolton steadied, had the side up. Couldn't quite deliver the knockout punch.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon Goods is probably the most important, quite closely followed by Mumford. But obviously, to contend for a premiership, you've got to have a lot of very good players. So many good players stepping up. Certainly Grundy and Richards, we've spoken about them a lot. Shaw's playing a lot better across half-back. I mean, he's had a couple of really good years up here. And Jetta's just added that midfield potency.
The game I can't get my head around is the Sydney-St Kilda game, Jared, that we saw about a month ago. The Swans were putrid that night, weren't they, compared to their form for the rest of the season?
Yeah, they were horrible. They came in with a lack of energy, and their forward line was just totally dysfunctional. But I think that was the game that really got Sydney up and about again as well. Sorry, St Kilda.
Yeah, almost every team's had a downer or two so far this season. Bolton, that's a well-placed ball for Kennedy, who has this ability to go forward, not just be a strong body around the contest in the middle, but he can push forward, take a mark, kick a goal. He's kicked 15 goals, 3 for the season coming in tonight.
So speaking about important players, here's another one over the last couple of years. Just gone into the midfield and one of the elite of the competition now.
Lining up for his 17th goal of the year. Now the mark, 37 metres out from goal, so the distance not an issue. Accuracy not a problem either. Swans very impressive.
And they have got room to move, and I think it is room to move is still the evolution of young Sam Reid. Only a young player, but with the support of the likes of Mumford going forward, and if Everett can pop up and do a few things, and certainly Goods will spend a bit of time in the forward 50 as well, it just allows Reid to use his athleticism in that forward half, and if he starts clunking some marks, a lot of clubs are going to have some massive worries about the Sydney Swans if they already haven't.
You're just going back to that month where they lost 3 out of 4 games, the Sydney Swans. Adelaide in round 6. They were coming off 5 consecutive wins to start the season. Just got beaten by Adelaide at home. It was a game that they should have won. Then Richmond really took them apart at the MCG. They had a big win against Melbourne.
Oh, Adam Goods, what about that for a virtuoso performance? Hey, he's still got it.
Yeah.
What a goal.
Hasn't got a lot of match fitness under the belt, but you can't lose that class. Did that really nicely. Another good clearance from the Swans to get the ball in quick. See, Sam Reid was probably being held there in that contest, but Adam Goods just ran onto the ball, pushed off Phil Davis with the big fend into the chest and around the body.
And was lining the ball up for goal while he was moving, wasn't he, almost? Bang.
Yeah, nice work. And they've just really blown the Giants off the park in this second half.
Margin 90 points now. And this last quarter, well, really the second half, has been all Sydney's. 5 goals to 1 to add to the 6 goals to 2 from the third term.
He's had a pretty good game, Lewis Roberts-Thompson, given that he looked like he was
broken jaw.
Going to be out for a month with a broken jaw in about the first 5 minutes of the match.
And we've got to understand, obviously, we understand how young the Giants are as a squad. Their first 12 games, had 8 of those on the road, where they had to drive to the airport, which is a decent drive in itself, we've experienced a few times, but also jump on a plane 8 times. In the pre-season, out of their 4 games in the pre-season, it was 3 times on a plane.
Here we go. He's had 3 already, Jenna, and sets it up to full forward, but a bit of an anti-climax there,
I think he let you down, Hutto, then.
Jeez, you got dirty on Lynchy because he was talking when Jenna
tried to
ball.
wind it up.
Well, my voice was battling as well, so just as well that he didn't kick a goal. Thumping kick to half forward.
Imagine if he had 13 bounces, Jared.
Oh, well, that certainly would have made for a great month for Hutto.
Bolton worked it back to Bird.
Just the pressure has dropped right off, and you can see now that Sydney are playing the game that they are so capable of playing. Reece Shaw running from the half-back line. But I can't get over the work rate of Mumford. He just continues to work like a midfielder that's probably more 180 than 200.
Well, his second, third, fourth efforts,
Brilliant.
He gets on the ground as well and competes.
Yes, it's got elements of training about it at the moment, hasn't it, for the Swans, as they lead by 90 points. Roberts-Thompson back for McVeigh. Again, time to have a good look into the forward 50.
I think Luke Power may have come up with an ankle injury.
Yeah, he's down and looks out as the ball wanders towards the goal line. Phil Davis, he fooled them all. And Shield tried something similar but didn't get the same result. In fact, it is Shield.
There seems to be a bit of concern with Luke Power there, and it's is it upper body? And they're calling for the stretcher. It might be ribs, around the rib region. The doctor is feeling around. He's going to jump up, come from the ground, but he's certainly uncomfortable.
Bird, no.
Well, I think everybody's got to get to grips with his kick around the corner. I mean, you couldn't possibly tell me that Craig Bird has practiced that if that was the result he's come up with. Here's the incident we're talking about. Didn't look a lot in it. In fact, it looked like it had been done prior to that incident. It just aggravated it.
Sweeping kick from O'Keefe. Into the 50, Reid. It was a good scramble. McGlynn. It's all too easy for the Swans now. Everett blew his option. There's another one around the corner.
Well, that's just
Well,
nonsense.
Luke Powell's actually dropped the ground now at centre-half back, and they've called for the stretcher again. So the umpire's about to stop play.
Shields gone down as well here on the bench.
Yeah, the umpire's stopped play now, and so he made his way about 30 metres across the ground and just felt that he wasn't going to make it off. So seems that lower left rib region, and I'm not quite sure.
He couldn't have done it in that incident. It's got to be surely.
No, he's in pain there.
Well,
yeah, but surely it's been done prior to that, and that one just aggravated it. And who would you have in store, Lynchy?
Oh, there's a few very good players that I think weight of numbers have gone towards the Swans, and Kieran Jack's been very good with his 2 goals. McVeigh, as he always does. So there's a couple there be in contention. Ryan O'Keefe, 36 disposals as well.
Hampton kicks to half back. Hanbury. Palmer. Shaw still as desperate as ever.
Both players dived on it, Ivan.
As I said, I was making the point earlier, and just doing Shield, just checking that left ankle, about I think the travel on the young bodies has taken a toll as well. We see how hard it is on the Gold Coast Suns, and certainly massive travel workload for the Giants, more than any other team in the competition.
An opportunity to go forward here through Davis. Hampton has spent most of the evening in defence. Good stuff from Johnson. Still prepared to put the body on the line this late in proceedings. And Lewis Roberts-Thompson is the latest to find the Bermuda Triangle out there to get out on the foot.
Now, you were going to tell us something about the multicultural team.
Well, we found out that Lynchy qualified, Jared, so you would have thought he'd be in the top 50.
I would have thought he'd be the full-back or full-forward.
Probably even for both. You would have been right up in contention for both. So, Lynchy, you're confident of getting into the final team?
I think I've missed out. I've missed the 50, so I'm a massive chance to miss the team.
What? Bug has a shot for goal, and that doesn't go the way he planned.
Not that you were sour about it. We've been hearing about it for the last 6 hours, I know.
Yeah, under the bus I go. But yeah, I didn't know what the qualifications were, but South of England must be out.
Armstrong
50.
goes short to McVeigh. Back into the middle. Bolton lets it keep coming, and Everett takes it. Quick glance, and here we go with Jetta again. And kicks it down to Big Mike Pike, who tumbles on in and takes the mark.
What a success story this bloke has been. And there were plenty of people who raised an eyebrow when he was given an opportunity, but he just must have a fantastic self-belief and also work ethic.
Yeah, really good athlete that has had a lot of pressures on him, and a lot of people telling him, as you said, that he couldn't play the game, but he's worked really well, and he's the second ruckman come forward in this team at the moment, just pushing CB out of the team.
So here's Big Mike, and that might be almost enough, not quite. They're just on the precipice here. 92 points, still can't quite bring up the 100-point victory. Of course, the Giants got smashed by North Melbourne earlier in the year, 183 to 54. Almost 130 points down in Tassie. And they copped a fair thumping at the hands of Melbourne last week.
So, Lynchy, you're in the player-manager business. Put yourself in the situation of Gubby Allen and Steve Silvani. Which players, or what sort of players would you be targeting to bolster this group?
I think another big-bodied defender would be handy. Certainly Moore and Davis down there have done a really good job, and some good young players. I think your spine over the next 5 years looks pretty good. I mean, you have a look at pattern up forward with Cameron. Tomlinson's around abouts as well. Davis at centre half back. Moore's there at full back. So I reckon your core looks good, and they've got a really good spread of midfielders that are going to develop. But
so Brogan is
a big centre half back would be handy.
Big Dean Brogan perhaps may not go on. You look for another ruckman. They haven't got too many guys at this stage presenting for that position outside of what we've seen.
I would think that would be probably the #1 target. They've got Giles, who looks like he's going to be a really good 6 or 7 year player.
Yeah,
110 kilo.
We said Phillips, he's playing in the 2s at the moment.
Yeah, another young Tasmanian, looks like he's coming along quite nicely. But yeah, probably a big ruckman. There's a few around at the moment.
Yep. It was interesting they didn't go for longer as we watch Jack line up for goal in the draft. They had a lot of early picks. They didn't decide to choose a high ruckman.
Well, I think that's when we were sitting there at the draft. That was the one we felt that would really stood out. They might have gone for Billy Longer.
But surely the Sydney Swans have shown that you're better off going to the draft and getting your gun midfielders and plucking ruckman when somebody else has developed them.
Yeah, no, that seems to be a pretty wise idea. But I guess there is the odd one that you can pick maybe as a...
There's someone like Sam Jacobs too. You can just go over to Carlton and pluck him like an apple off a tree.
What are you suggesting, Jared? We might go back to Carlton?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Carlton have a look at their ruck stocks and say we can't play with all three of them. And I'd be surprised if the three of them are still there next year. But you never know. You need some backup, and that's the difficulty with the ruckman. I mean, as soon as you go for two, like St Kilda, somebody gets injured. And you've got Jason Blake in the row.
Well, the Saints will definitely, they've already admitted that they'll be in the market for a ruckman. So there'll be plenty around. Just on the margin here, 93 points. They lost to North by 129 and to Brisbane by 92. So at the moment, this is tracking for their second worst performance of the year in terms of sheer margin.
Well, they're going to get some beltings along the way, but you just couldn't question the way they've gone about it this season. They look fantastic to me, the GWS, and if they can just cherry pick a couple of senior players to bolster what they've got.
What do you think then, Jared, to answer your own question?
I'm with Lynchy. I think their forwards look really potent. Their midfield, I think, got heaps of run. They could probably do with another senior midfielder to perhaps help the guys that are running through there. But it's the key defence and another ruckman.
More.
But I think if you can get Phil Davis up the ground, even play as another forward, I think then you're really getting some power.
Kieran Jack, his 33rd disposal to go with his couple of goals.
Chad Corns isn't going to be here for much longer either. That's the other one you've got to replace.
You think all those really experienced guys will just retire at the end of this year, or will it?
Well, I'm not sure why Chad Corns should. He's obviously on a good wicket financially. He's enjoying his footy.
I think they should encourage Chad Corns to play one more year.
Absolutely.
Well, you'll have game 250 next week against Hawthorn.
I think Chad Corns was a missed opportunity for a couple of clubs higher up the ladder.
In that window, that pulling an experienced All-Australian centre back.
Gee, sides that have got weakness in defence, you could argue Hawthorn could have slotted him in there. It's just another tall defender.
Grundy gives to Shaw. Doesn't look like they'll get the 100-point win anyway. Reid slicing and dicing some more. They still might bring up the ton victory because that takes them to 94 now, with still just over 20 seconds left on the clock. So Sydney 19-18, 132, leading GWS 5-8-38.
Well, that first half was really competitive. We know the score got out to 37 points there at half time, but just the second half's blown open inside 50, 62-30. So it's been a belting in the second half, but I think that's to be expected. This doesn't take anything away from the Giants season. It's just the fact is they're tired, they're young bodies, and they're up against a class act.
Bolton, and the seconds ebb away. It's the Sydney Swans with a dominant second half who claim victory here by 94 points. An amended crowd of 22,500. That's probably a little bit more realistic than the 38 we were seeing earlier on. But it's all the Swans, 19 goals to 5, led by Kieran Jack with a superb performance in the middle. Sam Reid got amongst the goals with a couple who was multiples all over the shop for the Swans as far as in front of goals were concerned. 3 goals to Jetta, 2 to Jack and to Goods and to Kennedy and to Roberts, Thompson and to McGlynn and to Sam Reid, and they're all singles for GWS. So let's get down to Lee Coleman.
Kieran, an impressive win in the end, 93 points, but it wasn't. You didn't have it all your own way because Longers looked a little bit upset at quarter time and probably had a little bit to say at half time.
Yeah, you know, deservedly so. I thought first half we were really off our game, and all credit to GWS. I thought they really come out and took it to us, and you know, they're a young side, but they're doing a lot of things right. So, you know, for our boys, we just needed to get back to cracking at the footy and do the things we've been doing well. So the second half was pleasing, and yeah, we're glad to get a win.
10-3 now. It's been an impressive start, hasn't it? I mean, have you been surprised that the fact that it's, you know, you've got off such a good start?
Oh no, certainly not. I mean, internally we certainly think we're heading in the right direction. You know, we worked really hard over the pre-season, and you know, John's putting a lot of confidence in the players now. So I think that's starting to show off. And you know, 10-3 is a good start, but it means nothing coming into the year. So yeah, we'll keep moving forward.
And your own body, your own form, you're just loving this game of AFL footy. It's much better than that other game, isn't it?
Oh, I'm on live TV. I know I can't say that. You know, I'm loving playing footy. I mean, I'm back to being fit and healthy, and you know, it's good to be playing in a good team. Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Cheer, cheer the red and the white. Honour the name by day and by night. Lift that noble banner high. Shake down the thunder from the sky. Whether the odds be great or be small, Swans will go in and win overall. While our loyal sons are marching onwards to victory.